Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Liverpool Podcast or the Daily Bournemouth Podcast, depending on if my guest wants to publish it or not. My guest today is Vic from the Daily Bournemouth Podcast. How are you doing, mate?
Well, where do I start? Where do I start after the
Where do you start?
I'm feeling good, thanks. It's nice to be back. Many of you guys don't know, I had a thing with one of my friends, one of my mates, who is our daily listener. And one of the last podcasts I've done was when we played against Man U. And since then, I promised to my friends that I won't be doing any episodes until Bournemouth has lost the game. We went 11 games unbeaten, right?
And now you're back.
And now I'm back, right? Well, I had to respect my word. It was looking good. It was looking great. Right, I was thinking maybe can go until the rest of the season, but then on the other hand, bloody hell, I have to start doing something because our listeners are going to be quite annoyed, right?
Yeah.
Because there's no episodes being published. And yeah, with Liverpool coming, being in the first place, and with the referees always, being a bit more loose when Liverpool
I will
plays.
say you were getting the excuses in before the halftime whistle. So, I mean, you were preparing yourself for imminent doom there, and we will uncover that. But I thought Bournemouth started the game quite well. You know, you were in our box a couple of times, and there was that amazing chance when Antoine Semenyo hit the bar, and my heart exploded when it hit the bar, I will admit. My sitting room was reverberating under my voice. I mean, you were at the match, so what was it like when you were there? Was the atmosphere loud? Were the Bournemouth fans really up for it?
One of the best games atmosphere-wise so far this season. We didn't stop chanting the whole game. Regarding the referee, it kind of ruined the game in the first half. Penalty, this is something we're going to talk about later, but
yeah, we'll talk about that.
Other decisions like stupid fouls and just, easy challenges, like people shielding the ball, players shielding the ball and all that. He was giving fouls for that. And it was quite annoying seeing that. And obviously, the penalty.
I was asking about Antoine Semenyo. I mean, I know you're excited to talk about it, as am I, because, I mean, we can have a lengthy debate about this penalty and, anyway.
Yeah, Semenyo's chance. So I was in the north stand where the Cherries' loudest fans are, and when I feel like I really want to cheer, want to shout, sing, and all that, I get a ticket for the north stand. And Bournemouth usually plays towards the south stand, so attacking towards the south in the first half, and then attacking towards the north in the second one. And that's Semenyo's chance. Obviously, we've seen it. It was on the other side, but I saw the ball going inside the goal. So I jumped, right? I jumped, started screaming, and then the guy next to me pulled my hand. It's like, lad, calm down, mate. I thought that was it.
My
Please,
word.
next time, control your emotions. No, okay, mate. Sorry.
I mean, yeah, I still... I mean, my heart hasn't quite recovered from that chance. I mean, I didn't get to see the second half live, but I was quite, to be honest, in the first half, I was quite impressed by how much the referee was letting go, because there were a couple of things where, he could have easily been pedantic and pulled the player up on, like shielding the ball and so on and so forth. But in the first half, anyway, I thought he was quite lenient. Obviously, you have a different view to me, and now we'll talk about the penalty now. I think because I can tell that there's a massive demon growing inside you that you just need to let out. So the penalty happened in front of you. If you are describing where you were, and it was a trip. There was contact and there was a trip. Did you not see the trip?
No. So what we did is usually whenever there are situations like this during the game, I also play the game on my phone so we can rewatch it straight away. Well, me and the fans around me, we can see what actually happened because in the stadium, obviously, there's two screens and they only put the video when the decision has been made. But until the decision has been made, obviously, if you put it on your phone, watch it live, then they're going to play it for a few times. So the thing that we saw, right, was Trent sending the ball, diagonal pass to Gakpo, who made the run, who seemed offside at the first, okay, made the run inside, and the next
it was close, I'll give you that.
The next thing that we did see is Gakpo hitting his left calf with his right foot. That's all we saw, and we were fuming.
And there was contact from Lewis Cook, otherwise he wouldn't have done that. And you should have seen as well, from where you were sat, Lewis Cook did not protest. You know, he didn't run over to the referee being adamant about his innocence. It was a trip.
The thing is, now, same situation, right, regarding the offside. They were checking the VAR on the penalty, but why the VAR hasn't been checking the offside line?
They did, because it was quite, like, if you look back at the footage, Van Dijk was... sorry, not Van Dijk. What am I on about? The Bournemouth defender,
Zabani.
I think... No, not Zabani. The Hyson, I think. Hyson was playing him on. And... Yeah, so it wasn't the player that was near him, it was the player that was on the left centre-back, which I think was Hyson. And he was playing him on, so they were able to dismiss that quite quickly. But it was just the penalty that they were checking. And I mean, there was contact from Lewis Cook, it tripped him up. And then there's the whole debate about, you know, is a trip a penalty? And it's one of those. I think, you know, on a different day, it might not have been given. I understand where you're coming from on that front, but there was a trip. It completely took away the goal-scoring opportunity, and it was illegal. It was illegal contact on his trailing leg, which caused him to... it clipped his leg into his own leg, and he fell over. So he can't shoot now. He can't make anything of it.
Look, let me tell you something.
To me,
right?
that's... Yeah, okay, go on.
If this happened to Bournemouth, we wouldn't have gotten the penalty.
So you're saying there's some sort of conspiracy against Bournemouth?
So, looking from the start of the season, right, if I'm not wrong, Bournemouth 3 goals turned around, right? 3 goals have been turned around by the VAR for Bournemouth. Other decisions like offside penalties, yes, we have been given penalties so far. But if that was supposed to be a penalty for Bournemouth against Liverpool, I'm telling you, we would have not get it.
No. Well, okay, fine. You can, but I will say now, you are sounding a little bit like AFTV. That's what I think. I think you're like, it's like the whole conspiracy against us thing.
I'll just grab my Dada Bear mug and carry on drinking my coffee.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so the Salah penalty, emphatic. And he's had a good record against Kepa Arrizabalaga for, I will bring it up, the League Cup final a couple of years ago when he was at Chelsea, top corner. Yeah, and this time bottom corner, nicely taken. And then Bournemouth did score a goal. It did get disallowed, but it was a good move from Milos Kerkez, and obviously massive friends with Dominic Szoboszlai, taking pictures together after the game, swapping shirts in the changing room. Really nice to see their compatriots getting along. But it must be frustrating for you as well, because I will admit, to the naked eye, even in the picture, in the still of where it was so close. Incredibly, incredibly close. And I think this game, at the end of the day, was about margins, for the penalty. And in this case, for the offside against Milos Kerkez. But a nice finish from David Brooks, and that must have maybe given Bournemouth a bit of a lift before half-time.
I don't think we played bad at all in overall, not just the first half. The whole second half, we were attacking much more. I think we were a bit better than Liverpool in creating chances and obviously hitting the post again. Alisson making a couple of amazing saves. Bournemouth, I don't know, that was unlucky. Looking at the offside situation, right, one of the pictures that I saw online, the way that the line was pulled, like the offside line, it was pulled over the boot of Konate, right? So to me, it did look like offside when we were looking on the phone again in the stadium and all that. But then seeing that picture online makes you think like, what really happened? And is that VAR really all the time against Bournemouth? Why? Just why? Whatever.
No, I will. I just can't see the logic behind that because I mean they'll look on the pixels. They'll look on the pixels on the monitor, and it will show the line of what. I mean, you've seen them draw lines before, surely.
Yeah, I've seen them draw lines, and I've seen some awful lines drawing where the line would be like this, right? So anyway,
Well, it's because of the angle of the camera to the pitch.
anyway, offside was given. That's fine. We cannot change that. No arguments. But if the goal was on, that would have been a different game. If
I agree with that.
If the penalty wasn't given, again, that would have been a different game. And coming now into the second goal of Salah, I had to take my hat off. The goal was absolute. And the only thing the Bournemouth players had to do to keep his left side closed. It happened once. They've let him shot. They've let him place the ball, his left foot, finesse shot into the left top corner.
Yeah,
that's it. Job done.
It was a world class finish. I mean, it's just prime Salah once again. It's sort of like the things you'd see him do week in, week out 5 or so years ago, during our Firmino and Mane days. It is like I think to me he's still the best player in the world. To me. I know people will say Rafinha. You're laughing, but people will say Rafinha. People will say Bellingham.
Amazing records this season.
Yeah, I mean, in the Champions League, it's Rafinha. I'll say that. But in league competitions, domestic competitions, I don't think anyone touches Salah right now. I think he is just so clear. I mean, leading in goals and assists, and he's already reached 20. He's broken it every single time he scores. He breaks a record now as well.
He's got 21 goals this season so far, is it?
In the Premier League, yes. I think he's got a few more in other competitions, but in the Premier League, yes, it's 21, and he's also overtaken Frank Lampard now. Yeah. So, it's just crazy how much he's done in a Liverpool shirt. We are so lucky to have him. We are going to take a short break now, and then we'll talk more about the second half in more detail. But first, it's time for you to find out what we use to record our podcasts here at the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Do you have a story that the world needs to hear? Have you struggled with reaching new audiences who are engaged with your story? Well, it might be time for you to start a podcast. Let me tell you about a platform we use here at Global Sports Podcast Network. Zencastr makes it easy to start a high-quality podcast built for growth from day one. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes the ums, as, you knows, and 22 other speech patterns, Zencastr makes it super easy to start a podcast that sounds great. Ready to tell your story? Well, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
So, just looking back at the second half, it really does seem like the game was won in midfield from what I've seen. I mean, Ryan Christie playing at defensive midfield is not something I would have expected to see this season. Are you happy with his performances there?
You not in one, in few episodes we did since the beginning of the season. I mentioned how genius move was to put Ryan Christie to play as a midfielder. So not only Ryan Christie, we had Semenyo being moved from a striker to a winger.
Yeah.
That was one thing. Then Cook being moved from midfielder to a right back to fill in. It's like Kluivert, who initially all his life, all his career, plays a winger, was moved to play central attacking midfielder, to play in the middle as a second striker behind the striker.
Brilliant move.
It's genius what he wrote, and that's why we're doing so well. That's why we are where we are now. And looking at the standings as well, we're not so far off the 4th, 5th position, where it's only like 2-3 points difference between us and the 4th place team. Ryan Christie, I think, one of his best seasons so far. He's a proper dynamo in the midfield.
It's quite a revelation, isn't it? Seeing him, because when I used to watch him play, he'd sort of come off the right, and it's similar to what they've done with Ryan Gravenberch, because when he used to play at Ajax and when he used to play at Ajax, he was an attacking midfielder, but Slot has turned him into an absolute
CDM,
I mean, he has just been. He was man of the match for me. Say what you want about Salah's goals, but Ryan Gravenberch. I mean, that turn he did, where he did the sort of McGeady spin using his back heels to get out of trouble. He'd do a few just
I've seen
like how on earth do you even have the imagination to come up with that? So, I mean, Ryan Gravenberch for me was probably our best midfielder and probably our best player on the day. But I think So go on.
Yeah, and I also think Robertson had a quite good game. I'm not going to lie. Robertson obviously had some dropouts in the last few games. Wasn't really consistent since the beginning of the season, and I was hoping, to see what is he going to do, especially now with all the connections with Liverpool and Kerkers and all that. Obviously,
Yeah.
left back position being hit. So Robertson for me played a really good game. He was good both defensively and offensively.
You're trying to get the word out so we don't take Kirkes. Is that what it is?
Oh, I don't really care, to be honest. I want him to stay, but it's it's not me who's gonna affect his decision.
I know.
We love him here. We love him here. We love him from the first day. I got the chance to meet him maybe one day. Knock the wood, you never know. Maybe I bring him onto my podcast.
That would be quite something.
That's the idea. But we will be having a player soon joining in one of the episodes.
Really?
I'm not gonna say who. I'm not gonna say when. But we are in
a current player in the squad or a legend or
no, it is a current player in the squad.
Wow. Okay, well, you heard it here first on the Global Sports Podcast Network. Someone will be on the podcast soon. Daily Bournemouth from the Bournemouth squad. Vic here pulling some strings. Nice to see.
Well, this is what happens when you're a loyal fan and you go and watch every game and you show your passion and all that and things.
Is this a dig at me?
No.
It's a dig at me because it's not my fault that my dad chose my team for me when he was watching football before he moved to this country. Like, what do you want me to do? I'm just going to support who he supports.
No, everything feels different about Bournemouth. It's a small club, small stadium, and the player that I'm on about, I obviously had already a chat with him.
Okay.
Not officially, but we had a chat when we met because we met twice in 2 days.
Okay.
So 2 days in a row. And that was actually this week. It was on Thursday and Friday. And the guy's probably one of the most humble players that I ever met. I'm not going to lie. I've met other players in the past. I've met other players that play for Bournemouth and all that. Most of them are not chatty. Some of them were really sort of, I'm here and you're here. So,
Yeah.
But this person is a really down-to-earth guy. And that's why I believe we're going to have him on the podcast as well.
Okay, well, I look forward to hearing that episode myself. I mean, I'm not completely in the loop with Bournemouth, but I mean, I'm sure that will be a fantastic listen. So, stay tuned to Daily Bournemouth. We'll also talk more about the match now. I mean, Bournemouth did have their chance with Semenyo as well, 1-on-1 with Alisson. I mean, brilliant goalkeeping from Alisson, you have to say. I mean, he was the reason, like the main reason that Bournemouth couldn't score. But a huge chance. Do you think if that had gone in, you could have maybe grabbed the 3 points and the momentum would have switched? Or do you think it wouldn't have really affected things in the big picture?
To be honest, that was on 1-0 when it happened. And the first thing on my mind was, why did you not just chip the ball? Alisson was already down. Alisson was already on the ground before Semenyo even kicked the ball. Yes, he covered the angle perfectly. I'm not going to lie. I used to be a goalkeeper myself. I used to have a same professional career. So I know how it works. But if he just tried to chip the ball, I think that would have gone in. And then we would look different kind of ending. Maybe Arne Slot would try to go more attacking because you could see that he wasn't pushing. He was trying to keep the ball and build up slowly for the rest of the game. And obviously the second goal came. So we still kept attacking. I'm not going to lie. If you look at the chances until the end of the game, we had Brooksy coming off and Marcus Tavernier coming on, where within the first few minutes of being on the pitch, he hit the post. We had an amazing
unbelievable chance.
Hit the post.
And Kluivert with the open goal as well, straight afterwards. I mean,
back to Kluivert. I don't think he expected it.
I don't. Was that just panic? Do you think that's the only reason he missed? The ball just landing perfectly in front of his feet. No real time to react. It happens, but Do you think that's a criticism, or do you think that should be seen as more of, constructive criticism as opposed to judgment?
I think you cannot really judge him much based on the performances this season that he's made and being the top scorer of the team.
Yeah, Patrick last week.
Yeah. No, that was Dango last week. The one before was Cliver.
Oh, whatever.
But no, based on his performances this season, you can all really, blame him for missing one chance like that. If he misses a chance like that every game, then you can start, having the having the look into the whole thing and then saying, well, hello, wake up, come on, well, what the hell are you doing? Right? You're costing us every game at least one goal. But no, his performances have been brilliant. Obviously, looking at the formations that both of the teams were played yesterday, they were quite similar. Both of the teams started with 4-2-3-1, and when you have two teams on the pitch playing against each other with the same formation, then you can really see the quality of the players that stands out. And that's the thing that I was talking about in the chat yesterday. How much is the Liverpool team worth, and how much is the Bournemouth team worth?
Yeah.
The individual quality of the players. And again, yeah, we didn't stop attacking. We had that chance that Clivett missed. We had, I think, two more chances when I was a bit disappointed with the decisions of our strikers or our attackers. So Semenyo had a chance when it was 2-against-2. He came in front of the box. Daniel Jebison was making a run inside behind the defenders. Semenya could have just put him the ball through. He decided to shoot. Okay, never mind. Go on. 2 minutes later, another chance. We were going 3-against-2. Tav was in the middle, carrying the ball. He had a player on the right. He had Jebison again on the left, who was cutting inside. He should have just put the ball through to Jebison. But again, he decided to shoot, and that ball went off the sky. And that was very disappointing to see. But the good thing is the Bournemouth didn't give up until the end. And yeah, if just the first half would have been a bit different, maybe the whole game would be, different.
Yeah, absolutely. But another thing that could have changed the game is Alexis McAllister with the so he had a yellow card. And to be honest, I think that was harsh for him in the first yellow card. We may have different views on this, but the one where was it Dango who just ran straight into him when they were going for a counter attack?
Dango, tried to kick the ball and run past him, but McAllister just stood in his way and obviously wanted to make a foul, which was a foul on purpose. Which usually, if it's a foul like that, you are blocking the attacker from run or pulling the shirt from behind. That's a yellow card straight away.
I think the reason it may be a yellow card is because of the fact that it was a counter-attack.
And you could see that if he ran past him, there was no one behind. Defenders were coming back, but there was no one else.
I still think a yellow card, because it was also in his own half as well. So, and Van Dijk does have the pace to get back. You have to admit Van Dijk is very, very good at covering. He's world class. He's one of the best defenders ever, if not the best centre back ever. But you have to understand why I'm a bit aggrieved as to why McAllister has been given a yellow card, because I think it is soft, and you have to agree that was quite soft for the booking.
Yeah, but you stopped the attack. If Dango ran past him without touching, Van Dijk would have still been behind. Would he have caught up or not? We don't know that. Because the ref cannot rely on someone's pace.
Yeah,
maybe Van Dijk could have slipped, You don't know what could happen. But you're stopping an attack like that, a chance like that. Regarding Van Dijk, I did say it yesterday, like, this guy doesn't really run a lot. Like, he was in a position before the ball went there. I don't know, Van Dijk is a top class player. You can see that he plays with his mind. And basically he anticipates wherever the ball is going to land, what the player is going to do. He was brilliant. Konate as well. I think his air duels were quite on top. I think he won most of them.
I mean, I'm looking back. I'm looking back on the footage, and he's right on the wing, and absolutely, you can say it's a breakaway, but he's not through on goal. I'm looking at it. He's the way he knocks the ball forward and chases after it is actually to the sideline. So I mean, okay, let's just say it's a yellow card. Move on. Because we're not going to get anywhere with this.
Argue that could have been a red, hey. So let's stick with the yellow. I could argue that could have been a red.
No. Okay, now you're pushing it. You are really pushing it by saying that because he's in his own half and he's by the byline.
Yeah, but Dango's got pace.
Yeah, but so has Van Dijk. What? That's the whole thing.
Never mind. Leave it there. Let's leave it.
Okay, all right. So then a few minutes later, I think McAllister does collide with which player was it? Was it Brooks? I could be wrong.
Brooks, but again, we watched it on the phone, and it seemed like he didn't really touch him.
I was thinking that the contact is minimal. I understand it's on his thigh, but A, the contact is minimal, and B, it's not an unusual movement from McAllister. His foot just comes down, and he's trying to sort of cushion the ball.
The thing is that they were both looking at the ball. It wasn't like McAllister was looking at the player. Oh, I know where is he going to jump, so I'm going to try to kick him. They were both looking at the ball. That was, and the way that Slot reacted as well by pulling him out just in case he doesn't get a red card. Was a good move as well.
Oh, okay, I actually thought that you were going to say that was a second yellow.
No.
I really thought so. So you're more aggrieved at McAllister standing in Atara's way.
Yeah,
that's the one that
that's
makes you more annoyed.
Yeah.
I can't see the logic behind that. I'm sorry, because that is not a red. You really think that's a red?
No. I was taking the mic. No.
Okay. All right. Okay.
No.
Right. So we are coming to the end of the discussion of the second half. We've already talked about the Salah goal, so we don't need to do that again. And in this final part, we are going to talk about the player performances individually and the fixtures for both of our teams moving forward. But first, it's time for you to find out what we do here at the Global Sports Podcast Network.
The Global Sports Podcast Network is changing the face of football podcasts. With dedicated daily content for every Premier League team, women's football, fantasy football, and a daily Premier League wrap-up broadcast in 5 different languages, it's your one-stop shop for your daily football fix. Find GSBN wherever you find your usual podcasts.
Okay, so the individual performances from a Bournemouth perspective, who do you think was really the driving force behind the team today? Not today.
On Saturday. I think one of the most important players on the day, and people don't talk a lot about him. Our midfield engine, our anchor, Tyler Adams. I think
I'm a big fan of Tyler Adams.
I think he's such an underrated player. I agree. For him since we signed him from Leeds. Obviously, he came injured. We were waiting for him to recover for a long time. And now looking at him and playing just every game, he's just everywhere. He's such an underrated player.
I completely agree. And he is sort of like a bit of a bully in midfield. He really does get in opponents' faces.
Yeah.
And also he's a leader. I remember at the World Cup in Qatar, he came under a lot of criticism from the Iranian journalists, and he dealt with it so well. And I gained so much respect for him during that. He's calm when he needs to be, and he doesn't stop running. He'll do any job for a team, and that's what I really admire about him. And, just as a fan of football, regardless of team, regardless of player, there are some players you just want to see succeed. And for me, Tyler Adams is definitely one of them.
You feel like he's got an extra lung.
Yeah, honestly, that man has lungs of a horse.
And yeah, he's just, for a player that's not very tall, I think he's around 6 foot, 5'9", 6 foot, if that. It's amazing seeing him, and especially last game against Forest, like he had 2 assists as well, which was great.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think people should be talking a little bit more about him, because now, obviously, with our right backs being injured, Cookie being forced to play at the right back, that's how Adams got his spot in the middle with Christie. Now, when we get our right back in the team, back from the injury, what is going to happen with the midfield? Who is he going to be on the bench? Christie, Adams, or Cook?
I mean, who would you choose to be our midfield, your midfielder, when your right back comes back? Who do you think deserves the spot the most?
It's so difficult. I'd stick with Adams, and then just try rotating Christie and Cookie.
I mean, I
Probably
suppose
most
the question really of Adams is at the moment, coming back from his injury, can he do this sort of thing week in, week out?
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, we're still yet to see.
Oh yeah, but no, he's been consistent now for the last 5 or 6 games. He's been a starter, and obviously you can see by his minutes, he barely gets subbed. It's if you look at his last few games. Give me just a second. So he played since the Everton game when he came on. Played 20 minutes. Every game apart from that, he was 90 minutes on. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. So it's
So good things are still to come of Tyler Adams.
good
I
things are
mean,
still to come.
do you think this is the best version of Tyler Adams in these last few games, or do you think he still has more to offer?
For me, he's good as he is now. I'm not
Okay.
gonna lie. Even when he makes a mistake, he doesn't stop running until he does something to correct it. And this is what I love when players, are not just like, oh, I've lost the ball, I'm gonna stop running now, I'm gonna get annoyed. And I was like, no, he keeps running until the ball is out, until the game is stopped, something. But he doesn't stop. And this is what I like, the effort. The effort.
Yeah, shows character, and it's. I mean, that's what you look for. I mean, that's why there have been problems at Manchester United because their players haven't been showing enough character. They could do with more people with the mentality of Tyler Adams, maybe. Anyway, so that's the Bournemouth side. From the Liverpool side, I've already talked about Ryan Gravenberch. I think he's probably the biggest surprise player of the season, seeing him transition into defensive midfield. I mean, other than, Chris Wood for Forest and maybe Danny Welbeck for Brighton, I think Gravenberch has been the biggest story.
Are we really going
I've
to
already
talk about Brighton after 7-0 defeat?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, poor
Oh, it's something weird is going on over there. I have to.
Well, let's just hope they're going to play the same when we play away, because we've got a game away in a couple of weeks' time.
Yes,
in Brighton.
I'm looking at your fixtures now. You got Everton for the FA Cup weekend
game.
just coming up. Then you've got Southampton away, and Bournemouth versus Wolves. So Wolves at home,
and then Brighton,
and then 3 days later you're facing Brighton away. I mean, that's not a huge trip. It's down the south coast.
It's about 2.5 hours drive from here.
Lovely place, Brighton. I must say, I live quite near there myself. It's beautiful around there. Maybe not during February, but yeah. So I mean, you've got some relatively simple matches coming up. Looking at Liverpool now, Plymouth away on the weekend. You should expect us to advance into the next round there, but won't be playing our strongest side. 3 days later, it's our game in hand against Everton away. The last Merseyside derby ever at Goodison Park. I mean, that is going to be amazing. It's a Wednesday night, 7:30 kickoff under the lights. Then we got Wolves at home, so we both got Wolves coming up, and then Manchester City away at the Etihad. That will probably be the pivotal match of the season because, I mean, Man City are actually scaring me at the moment. They have been back to their normal selves. I mean, they had an absolute thrashing in their own right recently against Ipswich, 6-0 at Portman Road. So some big matches coming up. What I want to know from you now is, what are you hoping for out of Bournemouth's season? Are you hoping that you can maybe get some European football next season? Would you like to avoid it to give you a better chance next season domestically? Or what are you what are you hoping for in general from Bournemouth?
So one of the pre-season episodes that we did, I did with my colleagues who have now left the podcast. I predicted that Bournemouth is going to finish in position number 8.
Okay.
They were laughing. They were saying, "Ooh, that's quite high expectations." But now seeing the way the Bournemouth plays, I think we can do better, and I think we can be in top 6 and get that Europe spot. Now, it doesn't have to be Champions League, even if it's a conference. Bournemouth has never played European football, right? So it will be something to really look forward to. My passport is ready. I've got a date of expiry until 2031, so I'm happy to go. My next trip, anyway, is in March. I'm going to watch my national team play in Austria, Nations League. So yeah, I'll definitely be going abroad and watching Bournemouth if it happens.
I mean, that will be a huge story for Bournemouth, a team that went into administration in the late 2000s, suddenly 15 years later.
League Two, yeah, 2007.
I mean, it will be incredible. And it's similar to the Brighton story, really, of when they beat Ajax. Imagine that for Bournemouth, even if it is just Conference League. See what that meant to West Ham to finally win something. Maybe that could be Bournemouth. And why not if you're playing the way that you are? So maybe. I mean, you're 3 points off 8th in front. And just looking at the table, just getting it up now. It's not coming up.
Yes, if you look what Forest third with 47, we're 7 points away from the third. So it's, equalised.
You're on the same points as Chelsea as well, who are set in 6th, only behind by 2 on goal difference, and you're actually in better form. 3 wins out of your last 5. Chelsea only 1 win and 2 losses out of their last 5.
It only depends how we're going to cope with Southampton away and Wolves and Brighton. It's, the next 3 games, we have to try and get the maximum points out of them. Because we know that Southampton obviously is a quite bad form, and this is the place where we need to take away those 3 points, because I can't see Southampton staying in the league.
No, me neither. Unfortunately, I do think it will be the 3 promoted sides going straight back down. I mean, Leicester having Ruud van Nistelrooy as their manager, I think was quite a immature decision from the Leicester City board. Ipswich, they're showing some character. I mean, it all depends on what happens to Mateus Cunha, I think, because if he gets injured, then I can't see Wolves getting anything. Wolves have lost 4 out of their last 5 games. Ipswich haven't won any of their last 5 as well, granted, but I think it will all come down to that, really.
Yeah, but looking at Wolves being in the Prem for the last few years, and Ipswich, who in the last 2 years has come from League One into Championship and then straight into Premier League. It's a massive achievement for a team that's worth £3-4 million in total. It's amazing. And yeah, when they entered the Premier League last year, I said that this is a big achievement from them, but I cannot see them staying. It's just not if they bring some massive, big names into the team, at least 2-3 players, which didn't happen. So
no, only Liam Delap, and they've kind of been relying on him for all of their goals.
Yeah.
I mean, he has been scoring some. What's he on, like 8 goals in the Premier League this season or something? So not the worst turnout, but I did think Ipswich didn't really stand much of a chance of staying up.
Liam Delap and Lee Davies probably the only 2 players that I could say something about in Ipswich, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's probably the same for me.
Definitely looking forward to the European football. I think we can do it. I really think we can do it. We need to try and keep as many players as possible at the end of the season. I know it's going to be difficult. We need to try and keep the manager as well, Iraola, who is doing an amazing job. It's unbelievable. It's a joke how good he is. We love him. He drinks Australia. He eats paella. He hates the scummers. So that's our Andoni.
Anyway, so we are going to come to the end of the podcast. Vic, I mean, best of luck to Bournemouth for the rest of the season. I mean, I really like the club. I think you've been absolutely terrific as a guest today as well.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you. I can say the same. Yeah, it's been. I enjoyed it really.
That's very kind of you. Anyway, so you've been listening to the Daily Liverpool and, by the sounds of it, the Daily Bournemouth podcast on the Global Sports Podcast Network. And I'll see you tomorrow for Tactics Tuesday.
After Cherries!
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.